Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another PCS Adventures webinar series. Um, my name is Bastian. We're going to be covering today elementary STEM. This means that we're going to be looking at all the different levels, K through 5, trying to show you all the things that we can offer to people who are interested in classroom applications, after school applications, and so on. So I'll walk you through what we're going to do today. I'll tell you a little bit about who I am and also PCS history. We're going to get into hands-on learning. We're going to have a brief discussion about what STEM is. And we're going to talk about BrickLab, which is going to be the focus of today's discussion. We're going to talk about, again, the classroom series, the after-school series. We're going to talk about the survey series and a new product called Girls Can Build. So my name is Bastian. I have been a teacher for about 6 years. In my experience, I've taught pre-algebra, algebra 1, geometry, algebra 2, as well as life science, earth science, physical science, and environmental science. Since then, I have become an instructor at PCS. I have been their trainer, both international and nationally. And I also provide the customer service and product support. Currently, I am in the process of attempting a master's in STEM education, and that's who I am. Until then, I've been a classroom teacher, like I mentioned before, and because of the way that I had gone through my own education process, I really was just mimicking what it is that I experience. I never really enjoyed the stand and deliver lectures that my teachers recited to me throughout my own education, and I don't know why I hoped that my students would enjoy mine. I tried very hard to make up for it in excitement. It was terribly exhausting. The formal learning environment has really not changed in all of those years, at least not everywhere, and definitely not near as much as what we expect our students to be capable of doing by the time they exit our institutions. And as you can tell, my students who have even more stimulus in their lives than I did when I was younger are bored in my class. I stepped out of that role. My goal was to try and improve my practice, and so I started working for PCS. Now, my history with PCS starts when I was a much younger student, and I think that this is what attracted me back to the company. I actually was a student at PCS when things were getting started, and I would go there on Fridays. I would enjoy a myriad of different activities that they could give us to do, and they let us kind of go for our own interests. And I really wanted to be a part of that again, so I began instructing there, writing curriculum there, and led me to this point. Really, the whole point of PCS pedagogy is just that. Uh, we're not necessarily a part of what most consider the formal learning environment. We have a much more informal approach, and we base our learning on experiences that people are having. We use hands-on manipulation in order to achieve those experiences. It was my experience as a student in those after-school classes that I offered that developed my interest and challenged my creativity and my problem-solving skill set. I stopped attending classes, for different activities, but the vast amount of success that they had in getting kids excited to continue their learning after school continued as they began to develop their curriculum and expand into different STEM areas. Um, they gathered their decades worth of successful proven activities and focused their attention on the delivery of those activities into the classroom. And as you can imagine, it was a huge hit. Comes at no surprise that when kids are moving and tinkering and playing and designing and creating and accomplishing projects and challenges, they get very excited. When education can resemble play, motivation to learn becomes more intrinsic in nature. Students exposed to our programs have been proven to improve in their academic performance, especially in the subjects of math and science and computer literacy. They improve their ability to communicate by expanding what they want to create, and practicing technical literacy. And when students are truly engaged in a performance task, they will work independently without the need for excessive guided instruction. They remain on task without repetitive prompting. And the practice of interpersonal communication is at its highest. And it betters their team skills by sharing ideas, building off of them, collaborating on projects together, and taking and giving advice in a constructive manner. They become inspired to create and toy with innovating ideas, as well as thinking critically about how to bring those ideas to fruition. There's really nothing new about our approach. In fact, you could reverse that qualifier and suggest that there is something old school about it. We base our practice in a deep-rooted marriage with experiential learning opportunities. We organize our curriculum through project-based learning, and we utilize high-quality manipulatives to construct representations of multiple buildings or animals or mappings or shapes or letters and everything else included in elementary curriculum. So what are the benefits of hands-on learning? And I will go ahead and ask those users that are out there to share experiences that they have, that they've experienced with hands-on learning and how it's improved what's happened in their classroom. And when you think of hands-on learning, what are the benefits that you feel come across? So I'll ask those of you who would like to participate in our text box to go ahead and type in some answers. And as I'm waiting for those to come in, I'll share with you a couple of the feelings that I have about what hands-on learning can do for education. It's obviously going to keep kids focused when there is something in front of them, when there's something that they're doing, when they're actively participating in what's happening, be it a small task or a large one. We are no longer asking them to pay attention to what it is that we are doing. Or to participate in our experience. Rather, we are witnessing their own experience. So that focus is going to be inherent in that change. It supports Common Core. There are a lot of different approaches, which Common Core has been written and has done an excellent job of bringing together common goals for everybody to shoot for. But one thing that it has allowed us to do is the freedom to move around inside of those standards and to apply those standards in our own way. This hands-on experience that we're offering through our curriculum will actually fit inside of your Common Core focused lessons. Inspires teamwork. Obviously, the constructions that we're going to be building, the things that we're going to be doing, the challenges and the projects that come thereafter, those directed builds are going to require that groups of students work together in order to accomplish a task or a challenge. So inspiring teamwork is something that's going to also be happening inside of ours. Encourages failure. Now, I'm not sure where along the way failure got a bad name, but I'm pretty sure that the blame is going to rest on the high stakes testing that we use to assess our students. This cannot be the only form of assessment that we use. Being right or wrong is not nearly as important as perseverance, as critical thinking, as problem solving. All of the things that we claim to champion include a necessity of failure. Failure is the greatest thing that could ever happen to a student in real time. Of course, it has to happen under certain conditions where the solution is not impossible, where they feel encouraged and supported in trying to rectify their failure. And a mistake only remains that way if you refuse to correct it. Failure is one of the best learning tools out there, and it has been more or less eliminated from our process because we have decided that our assessment will be simply how many correct answers and how many incorrect answers, and that this is how students have learned to judge themselves. It also is what keeps them from raising their hand and putting a guess out there when they're not quite sure of what it is that they should be doing or what they should be working towards. Remember, the goal should be learning, not necessarily whether or not the correct answer on a large national assessment is correct or false. It allows for differentiation. Hands-on learning can take place at the pace of the student who is engaged in the project, especially when directions are given in extremely clear ways. And that is something that we have definitely organized. We have a series of activities that students who have a strong aptitude for this can move through as quick as possible. But we also have no need to drag anybody else kicking or screaming through that process. We don't need to slow down those students that are accelerating on behalf of those who require more time in order to be able to do what it is that they're being asked to do. So differentiation is one of the large complaints that teachers have as their classroom sizes are growing. We need to be reaching for activities that allow for this differentiation to take place. And fosters creativity. No matter what it is that you're building, no matter what it is that you're doing, and even engineer, preceding engineer careers, people will be looking at things with a critical eye. Everything that you look at should be judged. How could you have done it better? What else could you do with this particular setup or with these particular manipulatives? If your neighbor is doing this challenge and you are doing this challenge as well, how is it that your challenge answer will exceed the expectations of your neighbor's challenge? And thinking outside of that box is something that we will experience towards the ends of each of our lessons. And I'll get a little bit more into the curriculum later on and explain that further. And of course, it's fun. Stand and deliver lectures, as I showed in the first slide, regardless of how enthusiastic you are, regardless of how fantastic your content is or how wonderful what it is that you're trying to share is, you're still going to run into the fact that you are the one that is acting. They are witnessing your interaction with them. You are the one who is doing an activity. When you switch that and you move it back to the student, they are in danger of having as much fun as you were when you were trying to explain your content. The more that we have them actually participating, the more engaged that they're going to be. And the nostalgia of working with bricks in BrickLab, because everybody has had a chance to just have free playtime with bricks at some point in their life, it becomes familiar and it feels like play. And the more, like I had mentioned before, the more that we can make education resemble play, the better luck we're going to have and the more engaged our audience is going to be. So what is STEM? I'll have a quick conversation about what that is. A lot of people read STEM as they've read all of the other acronyms that have come down the pipeline in their years of teaching. It is any acronym's job in order to stress the components that make up that acronym. So a lot of people view STEM as an increase in science or an increase in technology, engineering, or mathematics, or English teachers that now feel pressured that they need to include more scientific discussion or that they need to be submitting using more technology or something to that effect. And, to give some weight to that, that is relatively true. We are trying to focus on these things. These are the skills that the industry has identified for us as being what it is that we are lacking in our skill set. What we need are people that are not shying away from these different subjects, because in all reality, people maneuver around them with great ease. There's a lot of different things that people can pursue, and what we really need is to refocus them on these particular points. But STEM is a lot more than just a refocusing on these different aspects. STEM is the integration of all of those things. And the Department of Education has decided that this is the next big push in education. It will be STEM-related jobs that usher in the new economy. Today's companies are building jobs specifically with those who have the skills. And studying one of these subjects by itself reduces the utility of that subject. It's only through the application of the other pieces that you really start to see the power of what it is that this push is for. What we're looking for are integrative solutions, recognizing that you're never going to be able to study science without practicing some mathematics, that you're never going to be able to engineer anything without the use of technology. And the fact that we teach these things separately is really eliminating the true utility of what we could be experiencing, or what our students could be experiencing, if we combine applying all of them in similar tasks. And so that's what we're trying to tap into, or at least introduce in these earliest elementary years, is that regardless of what it is you're studying, whether it's literacy or communications, we're going to introduce a building aspect. It's going to be tied into that lesson, that there will be some sort of scientific mentioning of what it is that you're trying to study. There's no reason that we should separate out our different subjects, because when they are siloed in the way that they are taught in most formal education platforms, it really will reduce their utility. So that's what I view STEM as, and that's what we're trying to tap into. So our curriculum explores these opportunities with cross-curricular hybrid lessons. We include building engineering components in every single lesson, and we try to ignite the brain in multiple places for our activities. So if you'll allow me just to look at these images of localized electrical activity that's synonymous with seeing, with speaking, with hearing, and with thinking about words. When lessons are taught in a generally traditional method, only one of these activities is really taking place at one time. But when we engage in activities that require us to work together by listening and speaking to each other about the words and pictures that we are seeing in order to generate original thought to create, not to mention adding in the images that I'm missing, which relate to previous lessons or kinetic manipulation of materials, fine motor skills, designing with the end in mind, what you start to see is multiple parts of the brain lighting up. And when you have multiple parts of the brain lighting up, it literally becomes easier to teach students. They will take in new information faster. They will solidify concepts more permanently, and they will recall easier. And they will overall learn faster and deeper in the content that we're trying to expose them to. And when I am trying to explain this to is the frustrated teachers that are out there thinking about all of the different things that they already have to do. And I run into this a lot in different trainings that I do around the nation. How am I supposed to add in this additional material? I am drowning in content as it is. We can barely fit it into all of our schedule. And this is where I would challenge you to start to recognize that when you get that original buy-in, when kids are motivated to learn, when they know that what you're doing applies to them, when they can see it in front of them, touch it and feel it and compare it and analyze it, they're going to have all of the parts of their brain ignited while you're trying to do your lesson, while you're trying to get across your content. And what you'll notice is lessons that used to take perhaps 2 weeks to get through will shrink in time. This will actually end up saving time, because when you are trying to teach 100% of a content to a group that's only taking in 10% of what they're capable of over an extended period of time, because they are not being excited in all of the different parts of their brain simultaneously, what you're going to run into is a long drudgery of trying to get that component across. And we point to these things and we say, well, these are the difficult concepts. That's why they take so much time. And this is true, but what I would contend is that if we were able to get those students motivated, we were to make them want to learn about this and change this question of why are we learning this into, okay, what do I need to know in order to be able to complete this challenge or do this project or make mine better than theirs. If we have that buy-in from the students, then the rate that learning can take place will increase. And then therefore the time that it takes us to get all of that content across will decrease. And when you really stop to think about what it is that you have to do as teachers, it really comes down to standards. And when you look at all of the different standards that are covered using the different products that I'm here to talk about today, you'll start to notice that we can really take quite a bit of the load off of the teacher. We can point to these particular cited Common Core standards. And I don't want to go over each of them because it would take a really long time, but you can see all of the references there and you can look up exactly which ones it is that we're attacking. And you can see which ones it is that you've had trouble with. And you can imagine how much faster and easier we can make those concepts for you if you allow us to try these kinds of activities in your classroom. So in our curriculum, We organize our activities to introduce some sort of standard or some sort of learning objective as defined by the Common Core or perhaps the next generation science standards or any of the other standards that we are using. If you use K-LS1-1 as an example, use observations to describe patterns of what plants and animals, including humans, need to survive. Instead of, or in addition to, the teacher opting for a lecture about polar bears or showing a video about them, we need to start the conversation off with a detailed and easy to follow set of building instruction. And this guarantees success through multiple steps illustrated in chronological technical format. And we may offer an extension that would unpack and cover an additional grade appropriate standard that could be done in conjunction with this one. The instructor is simultaneously responsible for something, say, like LS1.C, where organization for matter and energy flows in organisms. All animals need food in order to live and grow, so they obtain their food from plants and other animals. Plants need water and light to live and grow. So we could push the students then to try and build what they think might be the prey of the polar bear and what's causing that prey to vanish from the polar bear's access. Another extension that we might examine simultaneously during the exact same lesson is standard K-ESS2-2. Construct an argument supported by evidence for how plants and animals, including humans, can change the environment to meet their needs. In this extension, students would attempt to represent the habitat that this animal lives in or that this animal could thrive in, and the great lengths that it goes to in order to ensure that what it needs will remain available to it. After that, we may even go farther and include K-ESS3-3 and communicate solutions that will reduce the impact of humans on land and water and air and other living things in the local environment, where students will lead a discussion to reflect or a journal process that we include on how humans are having an effect on where this animal is able to live. Teachers can customize this experience to fit the needs and the student interest, and of course the time that they've made available for each of these lesson objectives that they need to focus on. And move through a process of, moving on. Then we will include challenges and then personal projects. And what we'll turn is the content digestion, which is really just that instrumental learning, and create a lot more relational learning in between all of those different standards as it applies to the real world. And what we're trying to shoot for is to take that content and move beyond just introducing it, but showing how these students could actually be the reason why this changes, or the outcome of the future of that polar bear. What kind of actions could they take in their own lives right now, and what kind of careers could they pursue that might help with this type of problem? And each one of our lessons thinks about this much larger macro picture. And we lead from just these generic building instructions where the content is introduced, and then we use skills or content that was just introduced in these challenges, and then we move towards personal projects or collaborative projects where the entire class can be involved. So the greatest success story in all of the different products that we do have available has been done with students using our BrickLab. BrickLab is, of course, a very nostalgic toy and building manipulative. They seem to be a part of everybody's past. They're equally recognizable to teachers and to students alike. And according to a joint research project called the Idaho Systemic Solution, conducted by BSU in conjunction with our curriculum and our bricks, has been proven to increase the comfort level of those that are attempting to actually teach the STEM content. People see them as the most unintimidating manipulative out there. They're visually exciting, they're colorful, they're indestructible, and they never degrade, and best of all, they make a wonderful sound when you dive into them. When you pull a BrickLab container off the shelf in front of students, a response to a fisherman chumming the water is what I would try to compare it to. You open up that lid and something seriously happens to them. It's a self-perpetuating effect. It's as if each time that the bricks were put away, all the excitement that was in the room when they were using the books was stored in that box. And when that lid is removed, the room becomes intoxicated again with that very same excitement. And regardless of what it is, that the content that you're about to go over, all of the wrapped up experiences of everything that they've had up until that point having to do with BrickLab are then taxed and used and recalled by the students. They know that what they are about to do will include this particular aspect, and it will give them that buy-in that we were talking about. So the program that we offer also includes it's a lot more than a bucket of bricks. The project approach curriculum that accompanies them are fully developed with an expansion on the manipulatives and the different curriculum items that we have. These are all an explanation of the objectives, their associated vocabulary words, their required materials page, there's background information, there's standards to which that they're aligned to, there's an anticipatory set to generate interest, there's introduction to the concept, complete set of building instructions, guided practice, independent practice, written assessment pieces, and writing and journaling closure activities. There are storage and maintenance and implementation and management solutions. And if you're not quite sure how to get started or how to use the product most efficiently, or where it could fit into your particular methodology, what we do offer are professional development and training sessions offered by myself. We can either do it in a webinar format like we're doing today, or I can do a face-to-face visit with your particular program. If you have a series of teachers that are ready to do this, they're committed, but they're not quite sure how that fits into what it is that they're doing, this is also something that we can offer. So that's the program. Bricks, just as a physical description, I'm sure you've seen them. You see them in front of the child here. What makes our bricks different than other bricks that you see out there is that the corners are slightly rounded. This is easier for smaller fingers to fit their fingernail in between to open it up. We're dealing with softer plastic. This is easier to manipulate. We also have superior clutch strength. That means that when you try to push bricks together, that they stay stuck together, and then that way this makes all of the projects that kids can build and practice with have much more structural integrity. They come in 6 sizes, they come in 8 colors, and then if we move on to Girls Can Build, there's even more colors to be options. So the value of BrickLabs is really undeniable. We've included creative curriculum that you can expand on. They're versatile beyond that curriculum use. We can use them in multiple grades. They're very easy to implement. Again, everybody has seen them and touched them and used them, and they're extremely engaging, and they have a very low cost per student ratio. This is what they look like. Again, not too much different than any other brick that you may have run to in the past. As we talk about BrickLab and the different varieties of BrickLab that's out there, we have a focus on classroom and after school, and obviously things that happen outside of the school setting entirely. The classroom is going to be a much more formal learning environment. We're going to be infusing what we have to offer into curriculum that already has to be covered. And we find multiple opportunities where you can engage kids in these types of activities as a way to supplement lessons that you already give, maybe activities that you're already married to and that you really enjoy, or maybe activities that you feel like replacing or could use some sort of improvement or need a little extra spice. These can be shared across grade levels. Obviously, we wrote them specifically oriented with the Common Core standards, and we have grade-specific goals when we talk about what's in grade 1 curriculum, what's in grade 2 curriculum. But there's absolutely no reason that a school who has purchased the curriculum K through 5 wouldn't be able to find multiple activities. If they run out of activities in grade 3, there's no reason that they can't go and grab the grade 4 curriculum and find, again, multiple uses. So there's a lot of cross-grade activity that can be used. After-school programs, obviously in an after-school scenario, we're not necessarily as interested in that formal learning environment. We want to provide kids with learning activities, but we want them to be a lot more engaged, and we want it to be a lot more entertainment focused. These activities are also a lot more easy to conduct. They have less structure, and that allows for what feels more like free and playtime. And then also we have beyond school hours camps as well. There might be a summer camp program that you're running through your school, or maybe through your after-school program, where we can conduct week-long camps, and that can be done in a series of weeks in 1-hour sessions, or in maybe just a couple of weeks with several hour sessions, or maybe all in one Saturday, where kids can go through and consume an entire camp all at the same time. One of the great examples of the value and the versatility of BrickLab that I want to expand on is calculating what your budget will allow. You are obviously going to be able to try and make this first initial investment. But what you need to recognize is that once you have those manipulatives, you will be able to supplement what it is that you have by purchasing additional curriculum. So if you do go through something and you find that it's not enough, for a small fee, you can actually increase the amount of curriculum that you have available to you. And so you can use the exact same manipulatives. You don't have to go out and buy more. When you think about all of the different kinds of hands-on manipulative activities that teachers are going to end up doing, generally speaking, these are activities that use something that the students can take home at the end, or that get consumed by use. I think of straws or toothpicks and marshmallows, or I think of pipe cleaners and the kinds of things that you need to throw away. And that might seem like a small cost, but added up every single year, you really do start to notice that we are going to be able to offer a much higher value, because these particular bricks will last much longer than even your teaching career. I mentioned before that we offered the different colors and the different sizes. These are manufactured in Korea on behalf exclusively to PCS. We speak about them using the nomenclature 2x2, 2x10, 8x16. We try very hard, and we would encourage teachers who are using this curriculum not to use words that describe by color, or that describe by length in terms of the long one. No, I need one that's shorter than this. Specifically talking about what the dimensions are is a big part of creating that three-dimensional space awareness. The physical features of what you find in a BrickLab. You'll have about 6,545 bricks. And we have 8 colors and 6 sizes of base plates. And again, this will increase as you look at Girls to Build, which I'll get to later. But with this amount of bricks and the number of possibilities that are out there, we have enough that we will be able to cover really any size or group of classroom students. I can't imagine that 6,500 bricks will not be enough to service even the largest of classrooms. They come in a 16-gallon wheeled plastic storage container, so they're easily stored. We have a brick separator tool for students whose hands maybe aren't quite strong enough to disassemble when they're done. We have instructions and methods for keeping them clean. Obviously, a lot of little hands are going to be touching them, so we want to make sure that they're being maintained. Again, we've already talked about the color and all of the different choices of curriculum. And each one of these pieces of curriculum comes with the student version and the teacher guide as well. When you look at which bricks are and in what numbers, if you're interested, I thought I would just put this graph up there of how many are in each color and how many are in each size. And we're here to talk about the entire elementary STEM program. And what I wanted to show you is that what we have here are classroom series that can cover the entirety of all of the grades in elementary. Survey, which is much more focused in 4 different subjects and relates more specifically to the upper end of elementary. And an after-school series, which again was a lot more focused on activities and entertainment and educational but still fun scenarios that teachers can go through that will feel like games to the students but actually have lessons embedded inside of them. I wanted to put this up there. just for main features of all the different things that we're talking about today: classroom series, after school series, survey series, and then Girls Can Build, which we're going to be introducing today. Again, what we're aligning to is the Common Core standards and the Idaho Tech, or the ITEA standards as well. Subject areas include science, technology, engineering, mathematics, social studies, literacy, construction, and language arts and communication. So when you do receive a BrickLab, we are going to have a program overview of what it is that's going to be included, what it is that we're aligning to, give you a general breakdown of what the teacher guide has, what the implementation models are, what our project plans are, what our group activity will be, what the lesson assessment will be, what the group assessment will be. We're aligning specifically to these standards and wanted to offer some information. Again, I don't want to read through this entire slide, but you can pause it as you go through the recording and take a look at it yourself. We also, just offering what was already in the bag. We've already talked about that. The lab concepts, again, we set up a series of procedures that are easy to follow, that will help you organize the transition time as you're trying to move from one activity to another. We talk about how to do maintenance, and we give clear instructions on how to foster the best learning environment with these manipulatives. Here's an example of the kinds of things that you'll find in the classroom series table of contents. We'll go through that more specifically. When you're talking about the classroom series, again, the things that we're trying to focus on are education in science, engineering, mathematics, social studies, and language arts. 12 activities for each grade, and of course the curriculum that we're aligned to. In math, you'll see the following subject matters or content objectives and subjects that we go over in mathematics. In science, again, the different subjects that we have available in our BrickLabs for classroom series, social studies, and literacy. And again, if you would like to look at those more clearly in the recording, you can feel free to pause it and read through them. So in the classroom grade series, we are focused again on that formal learning environment. I wanted to show you the difference between these different varieties. So what you'll see with the information is that we have an objective, we have the standards, we have an anticipatory set. We have introduction to what the concept is going to be in the teacher guide, guided practice, and an explanation of what that individual practice will look like, as well as closure activities. When you look at a set of what the student will be consuming, the building instructions are always an excellent technical document, easy to read and easy to understand, starting off with a materials page letting you know what it is that's required before the build begins. You can see step-by-step processes as they go through. And our after-school series is, again, a much more informal learning environment. We're trying to, again, teach all of the same subjects, but with less of an emphasis on what a formal learning experience tends to feel like. You can see the difference between these two pieces of curriculum. Again, we're still showing where we're aligned, what our objectives are, what materials will be required, and what preparation will need to happen, the background and information about what it is that we're doing. And then the vocabulary, the activities that we're going to be doing, and of course all of the different extension. If you are running an after-school program, you know that you have an idea about what it is that you'd like to cover as a subject matter, and sometimes there is an extreme amount of buy-in, and sometimes there isn't. If there is, then what we offer are a series of things that you can use to extend outside of that and continue that lesson. If you're on a roll, why change it? If it's something that they're not interested in, then it's something that can remain separate and it isn't necessary for the overall objective of what the lesson is. The instructions are given in the same way, a little more verbiage in the description of what it is that you're trying to do. And the assessment is going to be a lot more general. Again, a quick informal assessment to tell whether or not students had pulled anything from the activity. And a lot of it, of what you'll see in all of these different assessment pieces, but especially here, is free response or open-ended questions where we can exchange, what their opinions were and also check on their writing skills. Of course, when you are setting up, you don't want just the instructions for the kids. You're going to want your own teacher's guide. So I wanted to show you this particular activity. This is a fantastic integrated systems idea, which is a tough thing to teach to kids. But in this particular activity, what you're trying to do is you're trying to build a tower. In fact, it's this tower. And what you have are a series of factors that keep you from being able to put all of the parts together on one day. Different workers can work for a different amount of hours. Different workers can lift heavier objects. And what you're trying to do is show that there are multiple ways in order for a group of students to come up with a solution to this problem. And what you would hope in several groups doing this simultaneously is recognition that maybe the same specifications were still met, but a completely different method was used. Or maybe one group was a little superior in how much time or money they were able to spend in order to get the same project done. And you can talk about what advantages or what strategies they use in their logical reasoning. And logical reasoning is not something that's easy to discuss, but this activity is an excellent example of how you can change that into a fun activity or a competition in which the designed outcome is relatively simple. And although the build really is important just for the engineering aspect and the three-dimensional spatial reasoning, what you're really focusing on is how a team of people can organize with the factors that are being held over the top of them in order to achieve a goal that they all are interested in being the best at. And those are the types of skills and the types of activities that you'll see in the Afterschool Series. And this is the worksheet that they would use in order to be able to explain what it is that their plan was. And again, this assessment piece where we're trying very hard to get them to write about this process. And a class challenge where after achieving these skills and starting to recognize how many different kinds of decisions need to be made along the process and combining with everybody in order to be able to do something where everybody can work together in a collaboration. In survey, we are focusing specifically on communication, construction engineering, physics, and mathematics. People reach for our survey course when they want to saturate different pieces of their curriculum that they would like to lean heavier on. So what we have here are ways to spice up maybe things that aren't as exciting to kids in the traditional stand and deliver lecture format. Perhaps you can do this, one subject at a time, or for those who have already finished with their activity as has been the curriculum for the classroom series, and they're looking for something else to do. This would be a great additional curriculum piece that you can buy to increase the amount of activities that you have available to you. In BrickLab survey, we are going over construction engineering, communication, mathematics, and physics. And each one comes in their own separate book. I give you a look at what those are. Again, we start with our program overview, some suggested teaching plans for teachers. Again, we are always trying to emphasize which standards we are aligned to, and a table of contents that you can slow down again and pause and read through all the different kinds of things that we try to address through our survey course. This is an example of one of the curriculum pieces. Again, what it is that you're going to need, what kind of preparation is required, what kind of discussions, and the different activities, all of which can be opted in or opted out of. These are the building plans, very similar to the Afterschool Series, but with much more of a formal goal of learning, and journal entries associated in that assessment. And then, of course, a new product that we have, Girls Can Build. Girls Can Build is our response to the growing need for women to be involved in the STEM fields. Girls Can Build has curriculum that's targeting K through 5. Each edition can accommodate groups of 24 girls or more. It has 12 one-hour segments designed for the primary level of K through 2, as well as 12 one-hour segments for the second elementary level, which is 3 through 5. Each activity of the series uses interest-based learning to develop an understanding of a wide variety of STEM topics, and girls can explore urban planning, structural design, physics, math, and storytelling, which enables them to gain the critical thinking and logical reasoning skills. Studies show that girls perceive science as not nurturing or not glamorous and not practical to them. This is why we are seeing them move away from these different fields. Programs to engage girls' interests needs to fit with with a girl's sense of identity. To embrace their identity, programs should use topics that incorporate science themes that have a high social relevance and experiments that personify female interest areas. Researchers have found that girls' interests are significantly different from boys, and girls prefer biological topics over science topics. Programs that build on these topics can have an impact on increasing the number of girls and the interest that they will have in science, and help to gain the perseverance to explore other science-related topics. This is really just our goal to make sure that there are different kinds of builds out there that are enticing to everybody. This is not something that's specific only for girls, but rather something that can be included if this is something that you find to be problematic in terms of engaging the female part of your population. We really want to show that we can cater to the things that are going to generate the most interest for them. Again, these social issues are things that having to do with biology, maybe as opposed to some other science topics. There's also enrichment camps. I talked about, what goes beyond school or different kinds of things. Again, each one of these enrichment camps comes with their own BrickLab, or you can just buy the curriculum itself. We have different grades focused. We have 1 through 3 for BrickLab Zoo, and 4 through 6 for architecture and famous structures. We'll take you through. If you're interested in our enrichment camps, you can look up a recording of a webinar that we did specifically on those enrichment camps. In the interest of time, I'm going to just move on to the research that we have, some articles that you may want to check out, and different ones that I referenced today. If you have any questions about where I gathered any of my material, or if you're interested in reading more, you can write us an email as well. There are limitless opportunities for expansion and saturation in STEM education in your elementary program. We're anxious to show you as many as you care to discover, and I'm going to open it up for questions that people would like to type into the text box. Yeah, someone made a comment that it's great for students who have been that need to move and are tired of just sitting at their desk. That's an excellent point. We definitely need to do more to engage learners and get them to physically be doing something. Again, the more that we see something actually happening, the more parts of the brain are actually firing. Speaking over the top of a building scenario still allows for the same, if not more, content to actually make it through to the student, and their recall is even better. Another question that people have is, what's the cost for this? If you would like the lab and the curriculum, it's $5.95, and the Girls Can Build expansion, which is twice as many, will be at $12.95. Again, that comes with 24 activities. If there are any other questions, feel free to type them in. We'll give you guys another minute or two.
What's one of the things about BrickLab you've noticed in the classroom? What makes it engaging for students?
Well, I think some of the things I've already touched on, the fact that this is a very recognizable tool, the fact that people have already associated, multiple hours of their life of just play and enjoyment and free exploration. The fact that that is prevalent and inherent in all of the different activities that we're doing really kind of allows a fallback on those memories, on that positive memory will give that buy-in that we're hoping for.
Looks like we got a question, and if you could repeat it.
Sure.
Is Girls Can Build available for delivery?
Available for delivery, yeah. All of our products are available to be purchased that we've gone over today, including Girls Can Build. Girls Can Build is actually a newer release, and we'll be doing a formal release for that soon. We're simply putting it out there as of right now for those who have already explained that they have interest in this.
Do you have any funny stories from BrickLab?
I love talking about BrickLab. I love hearing the stories that I get from BrickLab, but I've never had a chance to be a classroom teacher with BrickLab, so a funny story for BrickLab wouldn't really belong to me.
I'm not seeing any other questions
Okay.
coming in.
Well, let's move forward then. We've already kind of gone over on time. This is where you can find us. We are in Boise, Idaho. That's where we're based out of. If you are interested in your particular area, you can see the contact information for all of the folks that you can get a hold of in whatever state you find yourself in. We have Susie Hayslip, Jeff Sweet, Sharon Vladutsu, and Stephanie Pearson, and of course our sales director, Michael Brown. If you need to get a hold of any of these folks, hopefully you'll take the time to write down this information. I'll leave it up on the screen for a bit. And again, you'll be able to find a recording of this webinar, so you should be able to pause it on this slide and gather that information as well. But if you do need any information, just a quick phone call to our 1-800 number or drop a line to info@adventures.com, and somebody will get back to you as soon as possible. If you need to get a hold of me specifically, maybe if you're talking about trying to find opportunities for professional development, maybe you have a technical question, maybe you already own BrickLab and you're looking for different kinds of strategies that you would like to see. Maybe you have some stories that you'd like to share about different things that are successful. Any technical difficulties that you're having or any kind of supplemental instruction tidbits that you would require, feel free to contact me, jesse@adventures.com. And you can also reach me at that same 1-800 number. So I just wanted to take the time to thank you before we finish up. It's a long message, but it's a strong one, and I really hope that you guys will take advantage of this and get a hold of the different types of contact information that's available to you for all of the different people that are anxious to serve you. So thank you again.